Okay. Hi, good afternoon, Tolu. Is this your afternoon or?
It's my very early morning. It's 10:30 a.m. now. So,
Okay. Okay. So, good morning. It's nice to have you here with us at the
yeah.
Big Ten.
Yeah.
So I like us to pray before we start. Father, we thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for bringing us here to learn. Thank you for bringing us here to share the knowledge that you have endowed us with. We ask, O God, that as many as will listen to this or will be a part of this, we ask, O God, that you would help them to understand, help them to have wisdom to make the right choices, help them, O God, that you open their eyes and of the eyes of their understanding, so that they'll be enlightened to know what is available, the opportunities that exist, and how much is in store for them. Thank you, Father, for in Jesus' mighty name of prayer. All right, so for the Big Ten, we've been talking about having a session on graduate school exploration, and we thought it right to have you speak because you're an eagle. And then yeah. Okay, so we basically wanted to talk about how, number one, how to get um admitted, right? And then scholarship opportunities that are available and how you applied for those opportunities. But first of all, we just want to hear like your story. Maybe you could just tell us how you came from CU to Cornell. I'm from CU to CU.
I know, right? I know. I want to see that. Thank you
So
so much.
yeah,
Can I
yeah.
go
So
ahead? Okay, first of
yes,
all,
yes.
hello everyone. Hello, hi, big hello to all of you. I'd like to say I'm happy that you guys are at today's session. I've also sat in a different class with you. I was in Deacon when James Zinadu, I think he was the founder, right? Okay. I think James Zinadu.
Yeah, James, you know them.
Yeah, so I was in one of the classes when he was still in school, and I was in the particular class that Oseyemi when was invited to. I still remember that. So, I'm really proud of you that you're taking the effort, making the effort to actually advance yourself post grad. Yes, so that's congrats to all of you, and thank you for having me today. I'm really honored. Look at you guys made me do a lot of makeup on Saturday morning. I got out of bed early. What did set for you guys? So thank you. Thank you for having me. So I finished from Cornell just in 2018. I finished chemical engineering. Shout out to all my chemical engineering people in case they're here. And I went for my NYC and 2019. Okay, actually, yes, I was working for an oil and extraction and exploration and production company. And then I decided to go for my master's. And I was so sure that, so for most of you who might be looking into going into oil and gas, you know that there's enough money there to make you want to stay. So I really thought I was going to eat that oil money. We call it blood money. I thought I was going to be those Lagos big days. Because I did my Southwest at Total. I was working for rental energy. So I was even at my NYC. I was already making some good cash, and I really thought that was where I was going to be until they did not retain me because they said they wanted more experienced graduates. They wanted people who were like 3 to 5 years already into the oil and gas experience. So getting ready to resign, there was also this woman in the HSC department who was leaving our company. And I decided to go meet her and I was like, what's one advice? Because she was one of the few females in the oil and gas industry as well in that company. And I was like, what's one advice you have for me for my career? So I was expecting her to tell me stuff like, oh, go and take this certificate, go and do this for the oil and gas, because most of them didn't have masters. Not all people who work in these companies have masters. But she told me to take a master's. That's something I think she's about she was like 37 going on 40 that she wishes she had a master, she wants to be at the same level. Even though she was leaving the company to go to a better company. Like, so it sat down strange with me. But I went back, I took about it. And my junior sister already had gone for her master's for energy and management. And I started to think maybe I should actually take it seriously. Maybe I should actually start checking out schools. And then Dr. Ada Peters did this thing at the international office where they invited schools. So I went for it. I just checked out the schools like this. And most of them are Europe schools. So I really thought I was going to go to Europe until the pandemic hit. I think around end of 2018, 2019, I started doing my research. I joined this master prep community. We all of us who finished from school in 2018, we got together. Those of us who were thinking of going for masters, and we all put ourselves on WhatsApp group, and then that's how the journey started. So we're always bouncing ideas off each other, and that was how I started my search. And that's how today I applied. I applied to about 6 schools, and today I'm in Cornell University studying for my master's in engineering management. Yes, sorry. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, that's an interesting series of events. Very, very interesting. So now, how did you? Okay, so I understand that. Okay, you applied to like a lot of schools. So how did you select the choice of program? How did you select the country? Like what I'm saying, what informed your decision to like select the schools?
I mean, that's a good question. So, and that's always where people who decide to go to take their master, I think that's where you always start from. Like, how do I even know? So there are two sets of people who go for their master. The ones who want to jump, and then the ones who really want to advance their careers.
Career.
And this is not to throw shit to anyone because even those of us who think we want to advance our careers, most of us still don't know what we're doing. And for those who even want to like leave the country, emigrate, some of them might even have a more valid idea of where they want to be in the next 5 years. So no shit to anybody. But if you for certain that you just want to leave the country, you don't care which one, then I would even suggest you go to like I would off the top of my head, I'll say Canada, but I know like Australia is a good option. Denmark, there's so many countries you can be in. Finland that don't have any issue. But if for sure okay, I really need this career, I really need this master's to advance my career. So after the oil and gas company did not want to retain me, I was even already almost done. I was like, if this is what it takes to make so much money in my career, then I don't want it. It was so unfulfilling. It was so it was so monotonous. There was such a lot of paperwork. Even though I had gone offshore a couple of times, but even I can't. I don't plan to be offshore for 35 years in my life. Never. Because it's
Hmm.
never, never. So I was like, okay, I need to start thinking of how to like move. And I was already applying to KPMG in pandemic. I was already even on the second or third phase. And I decided that okay, I can't go and just do accounting of the bat, or like so what else can I do that will still put me in that position to still grow?
That
So I was like,
line,
oh,
yeah.
exactly. So I should do a management course. And I already said that engineers who want to go into finance always have a upper hand. So I know the job. So I was like, oh, I could do management, then write my ICANN. So I was having all these thoughts. So I was like, oh, let me do engineering management. I didn't exactly have the courage to walk away from engineering. So I was like, okay, let me still do something that's like an MBA for engineers. So that's when I now started doing research. Because before I was looking at oil and gas management. But when I decided that I'm done with the oil and gas management, that was when I now decided to look into that. And then when you choose your course, then you choose your country. Some people choose their country before they choose their course, which I mean is not wrong exactly. But that I feel like if you choose your country before your course, then you're in the Japa section. But if you're in the career section, I believe you should choose your course, choose what you want, your master's or
For your
PhD
country.
program before you choose your country. Right. So in doing that, I now started to check for schools. What schools are good in engineering management? I tried to ask around. I had a lot of friends who also came here. Oh, even one of my friends was now. And so I was like, oh, what program do they have these programs at your school? And I was looking like my three top countries were sure my top two countries were UK and US. I wasn't really considering Canada at the time because
Okay.
I felt like that's the thing. People will keep pushing you. Like every time I told someone I was going to US, I know Trump was in power there. Like you want to go to the US, then
They
you're
they were
not
like
giving
they were like really go.
exactly. And I won't. Maybe because I saw my sister come back to Nigeria and still do fairly okay. Somehow coming back was an option. Although now people begin to. Someone sent me one picture one day holding my shirt that I should not dare to think to come back to Nigeria. But I mean, it was an option. So I was like, okay, I really need the best place for my career. I want a school that fits the culture. I want prayer since I'm talking to people who really hold their faith there. I told God that God, please give me a school that will make me feel like I was back in school. I know not everyone here is a CU fan or a CU groupie, but I was. I still am. I loved my alma mater too much. So I was like, but I want the same kind of school that gave me peace. Like I did not have to struggle to get to what I needed to do. where I just have, it's like the standard of living was good. And so that was one prayer that I remember praying. So eventually I applied to six. So then I started looking. So I had a spreadsheet like every other person. I think I can look for it. I had all the schools and in the list in the column. So I had country, course, country, um, DRE on the column, TOEFL, IELTS. I think I also had like, so when I mean GRE, TOEFL, I mean like, do they take GRE? I'll put it yes. Do they
Okay.
require to? Yes. Do they require this? Yes. So what's the limit score? So I had it there as well. And then I also put like the email addresses in case I need to email anybody from the department I was looking at the email address. Tuition, I put it there. Funding available, I put it there. So every time I need, so those were the roles. I think I still have this. Someone gave it to me, and that was so if any of you in class who know you guys want to go for your masters, I would suggest that you come together and form a WhatsApp group. And I would like to shout out to Chiagor out and Okan Samuel, two people from my class here in electrical engineering who started a group. I remember calling him and I said, Okan, I want to go for my masters. Please, where do I start? And don't be afraid to ask questions. Although everyone tells you Google it, but there's experiences you need to hear from people. There are things someone needs to tell you so that you can go. And when he did, he hooked me up with OMF. He told me I should go for their class. I even paid when they were doing a promo. So talking to someone can never be too much. And so I got my spreadsheet ready and I started checking countries. So and they will just eliminate themselves. So you will know the schools by the time you start checking their website. And it actually takes a lot of time. So you can do it once a day or 30 minutes a day. So I would check, okay, best in engineering management. I also had a list for all the schools that they said were best in engineering management. And then I would check them individually. Then I'll now check the city. I'm like, well, no, I don't think I like this place. I will check the program, the catalog, the course catalog, what kind of things,
Yeah.
what kind of courses they do. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. So some schools treat engineering management as operations research and management or so, information science. I'm like, oh no, this is definitely, but it can also be called engineering. I'm like, no, X, this is not the school I'm going to. So as you begin to do that, they begin to eliminate themselves, And then I had about 6 schools left. So, and I had a friend who had told me when I told her my plans that, oh, I was coming to do masters. I'm interested in the US. She was like, apply to Cornell. There are a lot of Nigerians there. Although getting here now, I know the Nigerians she meant were Nigerians in undergrad because she did undergrad in the US too. That's how I got to know about Cornell. I never even knew it was an Ivy League. Like Stanford was my dream school. So I'd never heard of Cornell before when I applied. So like I said, they began to even out. And then I applied to Stanford, Cornell, George Washington University, Purdue University, Columbia University, and Northwestern University. I didn't complete that one because my admission from Cornell.
University. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's wonderful. So I was going to ask you actually while you were saying talking about what type of course, like what's the difference between applying for a master's, like a project-based master's and like a research-based master's? Because I know like many people like don't really know the difference between the two of them. So what's the difference? Like what are the options that we have for applying for a master's program?
I'm doing my master's doesn't have research. It's project based. That's another thing.
Okay.
So you also need to do, yeah, you're right. Thank you for saying that. So when searching to, you need to find out the degrees they give, is it MN or MSc or MA or so that's also something. So the truth is most people who do an MS, a research based masters, um, um they have more access to funding than those of us who do professional. Although I got funding, but it was partial. But you would see research taught masters that get full funding, so that they have the upper hand. But that means that you just get to do a research. You have a research topic at the end of your 2 years or 1.5 years, and you have to like submit dissertation, thesis, or thesis, and all of that. But for a project based, I just had to do a capstone project. So you all come together and work. So a company gives you a problem they're currently trying to solve, and then like the last company I worked for was well, somewhere in Ithaca, it was a beer industry, upstate
Okay.
craft beer industry. But like you come and solve a problem that's in their company and you all do it together, you all learn. So that I think that's the main difference exactly. But there's also PhD. PhD is also another valid track to take. But I would say 50% of people who take it for the fun. And some people to have the discipline that and some people have the courage to take on a PhD journey.
Yeah.
It takes courage because
I think I think I think I I
yeah,
think I
sorry.
know I know someone who and I know someone who did a PhD straight from undergraduate.
Yeah.
So
Oh
so
no.
do you know how that journey pans out? Like how does that work? Because I know oh, I'm very sure you know him now, Laddie.
Oh yes, of course I know
Adil
that.
Foundation.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, so
When Gladys started a book club for us when we were preparing for our visas, US and Jesus name. So shout out to you, Gladys, of course. And he might
yes,
not.
in Jesus' name.
Yes. So so about the PhD, so how it works is PhD is 5 years, right? But typically it's really 3 years. It's like 2 years masters, 3 years PhD. Because the first 2 years you're there, you're still trying to find your field, get good grades so that you can qualify. I think it's after 2 years you even qualify. You're not called a PhD candidate. Because the first 2 years you're still PhD student. So it's still like you're doing masters like work, courses,
Masters,
research.
yeah.
So yeah, so you can obviously do this switch. Even there are people who finish their masters, then move on to PhD. So they just continue from where they did, the same department. But if someone like me finishes my master's and I want to get a PhD, I think I'll have to start again. Like I'll have to start the full 5 years because it's not really fair. So it's very doable, but it takes a lot of courage. And if you're going for a PhD, I would say go for comfort. Like you have to be very selfish with your choice in professor, choice in like don't settle. It might be hard to say because options might be less, like might be tight, but don't settle. Like make sure you choose the right professor, the right class. Because even when the money starts to come in, like all my PhD friends, I'm happy for them when they tell me how much they pay them, but it's like it doesn't still match up to the work. So you have to make sure that whatever money they pay is enough to compensate your years of loneliness or so you or whatever bad things that come with PhD. But I'm sure there are also a lot of good things that come with PhD. Especially if you love to change the world, help science, and all of that. That's not for me. But I'm happy for them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's wonderful. So now in terms of like standardized tests, right? What standardized test did you take or when do you advise us, like I'm saying us because I'm like final year, like the majority of people the target audience for this particular session. So when do you advise us to like start preparing for that? And then how like what's the best way to prepare? Because many people say you can get the materials and just read on your own, and some people are like no, go to it. So how what's the best strategy for that?
I will give it to you. Of course, it's my experience. So everyone knows how smart they are, or how disciplined they can be, or how much it takes for them to prepare for an exam. We all know how it is in school. There's some of us who have to start reading long into the semester. And there's some people who can read a
Yeah.
week during, yeah, what they call that week before exams. Um,
Uh,
I don't, the week where you begin to read, was it called something? Never mind.
I think it's revision week or so. Revision
Yes,
week.
yes, thank you. I think that's it. That week where things are rounding up and it's beginning to be
Yeah.
so you don't know ourselves. So for me, I'm someone who would like to get all her ducks in a row, leave no stone unturned. I left Nigeria 2020, but I started my journey in 2018. I told you, so I couldn't, my NYC finished in November, and that's when they said, okay, they're not going to pay me. And I took that advice from that woman and I started checking my master's in December. That's about how many is like almost 2 years. So I knew that I've been hearing so much about this GRE. It can be hard. It can be this. Okay. So I started early. So on my CDS days during NYSC, I lived in Lekki, but I used to go. So I registered with BYM. So once I found out all the information, schools I can go to, I knew I needed a teacher. Some people can actually read. There's also this platform, Magoosh. So some of us also got together to pay the plan. So you pay Magoosh, there are different plans you can pay, and those ones were really good. Like you watch the math videos, it's spelled Magoosh. So we got the plan. Some people came, like I said, in that group, and we all paid money to pay for it. So everyone had access to that platform where you could read. So I watched all those math videos. I still flop. My score still flopped, but I feel like if you put in for any average person, effort doesn't always yield results, but at least it gets you somewhere. At least because there are people who get below 300 even without. But oh well, like I said, so I found out schools that could do it. I even got it. So the second time, because Nigeria wasn't good the first time, I got a private tutor. But I would advise, because I really like that tutor, I would even advise that if you know someone who can really teach you math, for those who might not be STEM students, like
Strong.
CDS and CLDS
Yeah.
guys, like you can get a private tutor that can teach you like during the weekend almost CDS, they give you 8 hours a week for like 60K. In 1 month, you should be able to bring you up to speed, or 2 months as your money can just try to make a good deal. And another option to do is like, yeah, people there are people who read by themselves too. So everyone should just know themselves. Because when you're preparing for your masters, you're going to keep hearing different things. Like the information, there's always information overload, is so overwhelming. Every time I told someone I was going
Overload.
to,
Yeah.
why can't you go to Canada? Then me to my brain will not start checking Canada. So you just need to know where amendment. Serious. If not, it's going to wreck you.
Yeah.
As in, because everybody saying, oh, why don't you write IELTS? You can just if you write general IELTS, you can straight go for your PR. But I knew where I wanted to go. So that's the thing, you have to be sure because when you started that journey has started, if you don't know like what you need to do, the journey might be it's already hard, so don't make it harder. That's my point. So
Harder.
especially if you're considering the US, because there are schools in UK where you don't have to write any exams. I think just IELTS. And sometimes if they tell you that if you schooled in a university that taught English, you can provide an English proficiency letter. Just mail the registrar. Or I can send you there's the email registrar, just mail the registrar saying I need this. They will type it up and that's what I used to apply to Stanford because I didn't want to submit my TOEFL score. In fact, the TOEFL cutoff was 100. I had 98. I couldn't submit that. So I used the second
Oh,
option, now message registration, they gave me an English proficiency letter. So in preparing for that, you know that I have these different exams. So I timed it. I wrote my TOEFL before my GRE because I needed more time to write for my GRE. So I would go to class every Saturday from Lekki to Kedah. Maybe I don't know how because I was born and brought up in Port Harcourt. I started jumping bus with people like my whole journey was harder in short. But then it didn't have to be that hard. But oh well. So I would also have from NYC, like I said, I was working in VI. So I would go to after my CDS in DI, I would go to Ikoyi Library. I think you can pay 5,000 for a year or 500 naira for a day or something. It was really affordable. I would go there every Friday, even though I slept a lot because I was tired. But I tried to put in the work to read. So I would go there with a goal. Okay, today maybe I'll learn new words. You also have to learn new words. Mangush has a 1,000 word list. I, for any of you that are going to go on this journey, receive strength. Is it is a lot.
amen.
We honestly receive it. And another thing you can do from now, even while you're still in school, like get the Magush extension. Even till today, I left it on my Google Chrome so that I can be learning new words. So once you know how you open a new tab and the extension just
Yeah.
shows it. Yeah, so you can be learning, and those words that are there are the words you probably see in GRE, you know. And there are also people who need to write GMAT. But I've also heard people say, I heard from a credible source. I also have a podcast where I like invite other students to talk. So one guy told me that he thinks people should write GRE over GMAT. If your school accepts GRE and GMAT, choose GRE because it might be easier than GMAT. So, but you should check it out for yourself before you decide. That's what I say. That's for GRE. That's for TOEFL. If I think some people say IELTS is easier. So if your school accepts both, maybe you should go for IELTS. Because TOEFL is listening, speaking, writing, and reading, and you have to do it within a short time. And it's not like you don't know it, but because you're under pressure and because of your accent, if they don't hear you clearly, there's nothing you can do. Although there are people who score high and you can do it. I think that's it. You just have to, like I said, if you have that spreadsheet and the schools begin to roll out themselves, then you now know okay the exams I have to prepare for, the ones I need to pay ahead of time. I would recommend 3 to 6 months for GRE, but there are people who do it in 1 month. So respect them. So it depends. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me just ask this last question. So someone was asking that. Someone asked me to ask you that when you were like applying, what kind of documents for okay, let's say for Cornell right now, like what kind of documents did you
So,
actually require? So say some people, I mean, I've heard some schools ask for CV, but and some don't. Some. So what for Cornell? What kind of documents did you were required for that?
I think all the schools apply
So
to
that we
us.
can start preparing ahead. Yeah.
All the schools apply to us already. Although because it was now this was now more serious, I had to go upgrade it. I used all the resources I could. I asked everyone to check my resume for me. So I think all the schools applied to get my resume. Also, most schools in the US you need a statement of purpose. I don't think that's really negotiable, but there are rare cases, especially when the school just needs like people to come in. A lot of schools waived GRE during the pandemic, which is why I advise a lot of people to apply last year so that even if you defer, you still have your admission. So you need a statement of purpose, your resume. sometimes there are even some schools that require back of the resume. Like, what don't we know about it that you've told us on all these
Yeah.
documents? Like, in fact, when I applied to Stanford and also a scholarship, they asked me to write 8 improbable things about myself. Like, they ask you to do like you do a lot of thinking and self introspection, things that you don't even know about yourself. So, just I think you should just prepare for the ones. But those are usually the two main documents, and then maybe sometimes they ask you to bring like what's the word now? Statement of purpose, resume. Then sometimes they ask you these short questions. What would you do if this? Like behavioral or situational questions. So you have to like write an
Okay.
essay about it. Like there's a scholarship I applied for, they told me to write 100 words, tell them about myself. Like how do you compress things into 100 words? You don't even know what they're looking for. So and
Yeah.
so any career workshop you see, any personal development workshop you see, like you can go for them so that you can, yeah. So it would help you in writing like some of these other documents. And okay, one last thing. So each department, each program you're applying to has an application checklist. So I always wrote them down and fulfilled some of them, whether they said it was optional or not optional, even if it was cover letter. Yeah, I think that's the third thing I was trying to remember, cover letter.
And
Even if it
recommendations too.
Yes. Oh, definitely recommendations. Yes. So that's it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Recommendations. So I never had to write any recommendations for myself because all the schools I applied to required my lecturers or whether I was recommending me for me to write it. But some of the lecturers will also tell you to write it for them and then do that. That's something very ready as well. But so how I did for the recommendations, I had lectures I was close to, my supervisor, my HOD, because I was active in my department, so they knew me. So I would just tell them casually. Before I graduated, I told them when I came to do my project signing. So I was like, because it was late. It was around. I casually told them that Professor Vincent, I might be coming back for recommendations, or like you would tell them casually on time so that when you send it, you don't have to do all the
Remind
how
them.
do I say it?
Yeah.
Butt kissing. As you don't have to do what do you say when you kiss someone's ego? Like you don't have to do all the ego massaging just to get your recommendation. So it's
Yeah.
better you start
Yeah.
and be telling them like, look, I'm coming back, or what do you
Yeah.
think about me doing a master's, or what like not having those conversations. So that all you need to do is just send an email or a WhatsApp message and try to get their numbers as well. Like you don't even
Yeah.
have to come to school to do any of that. So yeah, thank you for remembering.
Okay. So I think that's the end of this particular session. And in fact, my head is, I've learned so much today, and I really, really appreciate you for making time out to be here and for giving back to our community. I mean, we would love to have you another time. Most so the next time we're going to be having you, we're going to have like more people on the call, right? So and trust me, a lot of people are going to benefit from this, and I'm really grateful for I'm really grateful for giving us the time. I appreciate you so
Course,
much.
of course. I mean, thank you for inviting me. Of course, I had to make time. And it was really special because I'd also been in class before, so I can only imagine. And we didn't have this. I don't think anybody can talk to us about grad school. So,
No,
I know in Nigeria,
actually,
most
so
people don't even
it's
think of jobs. But oh well, I mean, I wish you
yeah,
guys all the
exactly.
best. For those of you who are in the Japa section, I really wish you all the best for your hustle to get into a good country. And for those of you who are in career section, I really wish you your dream school. I wish you your I'm rooting for you. That's all I would say. I got admission into only 2 schools, but I was happy because scholarship is another thing, another road.
Yeah,
So, I
yeah.
mean, yeah. But so you can also start checking scholarships on the side. That's another.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
thank
So
you. This feels good
thank you
because I'm
so
always
much.
every. You're welcome. Can I say one last thing about my podcast? I don't think I
Sure,
mentioned.
sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to also add that I have this podcast that like journals my journey here. Not exactly how to get here, but like when you're here, like how do you like fit in? How do you like survive? So
Adapt.
I rounded up season 1 in May. I'm in season 2 now, where I talk about other non-immigrant student stories. Like you can see, because the non-immigrant student is someone who comes in on a non-immigrant visa, like the student visa. So if you guys want to check it out, it's on Buzzsprout. I also have an Instagram at the non student. So you can just use it to come up to speed to try to imagine. For some of you who grad school is really your dream, I think my page like gives you something to look forward to, which is I
Yeah.
know So it always feels, because during the pandemic, that was how I held up myself, because I was like, when am I going to go to school? So I would always watch YouTube videos of people here. So I think my Instagram page might give you that kind of comfort, and my podcast too. So yeah, and you can hear my whole Cornell story there too if you're really curious as well. So yeah, thank you guys.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. Have a very, very, very nice day ahead of you.
You
Bye.
too, and happy Sunday, guys. Bye.